Hello everybody, Shelly here. Today we are getting into the Sydney Grace Autumn Rain palette. I figured why not 3 looks with 1 palette, and I recently did a video on the Sydney Grace x Mel Thompson Tiny Marvels palette, and I enjoyed that palette so much. I've been using that palette so much. I thought, you know what, I'm going to pick up a second Sydney Grace palette, kind of play around with them. And I love the way this palette is laid out. You have such beautiful jewel tones. This is like the more richer, luxurious version of the Too Faced Pumpkin Spice palette, in my opinion. I think this gives me everything that I didn't quite get in that other palette. So I am going to say right now, the smoke in Washington State is really irritating my eyes. So I've got an extra kind of dose of some under eye cream going on here. I'm going to let it sit in while I do this eye look, and then we'll try to tidy it up a little bit when I end. But so if you see some extra glimmering or if things just don't look quite right, it's just because I'm trying to baby my eyes a little bit. They're really raw. I have never used this, so it's going to be a first impression, but like I said, I really enjoyed that Tiny Marvels palette so much that I just couldn't wait to get into this one and try it. I think I'm going to start with this shade right here as my first initial transition shade, and it's called Palace. I'm going to go on a little bit of a fluffier brush on here. Nice cardboard packaging, feels nice. Again, it's got the holes in the back, kind of like the Natasha Denona ones that you can push through and rearrange if you want to. The mirror is okay. Does it have a film over it? Hey, it has a film over the mirror. Now the mirror is much better. And the package is cute. You know, the actual cover, it's okay. There isn't anything about it that really screams autumn to me, but the color store is pretty. And I don't have anything on my lids right now, so we'll see how well this does in covering up my kind of red irritated eyes a little bit. The next looks I'll use a eyelid primer. That kind of peachy color, that's pretty. I love the pigment so much in the Mel Thompson palette. I was super excited to see that they had other palettes that really appealed to me. This one just seems like it would be just a great fall, but we're gonna see. Not a bad color. It's actually almost even spring-like. I think it'll make a good transition shade here. I really want to do something kind of with these plums and purples right now. I'm gonna grab something a little bit smaller of a crease brush. I'm gonna go into Countess to define out my crease a little bit. And my eyelids are feeling very, very crepey right now. I have also been using some retinol creams. They're calling them a retinol sleeping mask, but I think that's affecting my eyelids as well. It's not just seasonal allergies this year, it's also just poor air quality. All right, despite my eyelid issues, it is blending. I'm gonna go in with Brilliant Realm against my lash line. All of these shades so far that I'm using have been matte, and I don't know why I've been gravitating towards mattes lately, but this palette really does feel like it's got a good selection of solid mattes. I like that. That's actually looks really good together. I'm gonna grab this kind of cranberry color in here. It's a shimmer, but it's called Amber Jewels. It doesn't really seem amber, but it does seem sort of jewel toned. And I'm gonna use it on my finger and halfway across my eye, but we're gonna layer it just slightly on top of that outer corner shade. Pretty pretty. Looking good so far, despite my crepey eye situation. I'm gonna do something I normally wouldn't do, but I'm gonna take this really kind of matte vanilla shade called Queen of the North, and I'm gonna use that. Let's see if this doesn't look chalky.
Like a bird on a tree.
All right, that is not a good combination with my crepey eyelids right now. So I'm gonna go over the top of it with Golden Spectre, and we're gonna just use a brush to, I think right on top of that other shade gives it kind of a cut crease kind of look. That looks better. Yeah, I like that a lot. I really, really like this kind of like burgundy and purple and gold look for fall. Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit more of Brilliant Realm down here, which is the darker purple that I used. And even though I have not touched up any of like my under eye concealer or anything else, and I will, but I'm just not going to do it right now because of my eye situation. We're just going to run this under here because I want to kind of connect it a little bit. And wow, I am loving this color combination. Let me put on some mascara and we'll just kind of see what this combination looks like as a first eye look. So I'll be right back. No eyeliner, just a little bit of mascara. And I love this sort of warm plum, cranberry gold, fall inspired look. I just think it's really beautiful. I think this palette might be my new favorite fall palette. And I wouldn't have thought that initially, but I'm really, really digging it. This gives me so much inspiration, and yet so many of the normal neutrals to pull off a work look. I'm really, really excited and really inspired. All right, so I did this kind of plummy, purpley kind of look. I feel like I need to do something slightly warmer. Let's see if we can't take it up just a notch. So I'm gonna take this off and I'll be right back. We've got a little bit of the Gerard Cosmetics Clean Canvas Eye Base going on. We're gonna go into the shade called Nature's Crown, which is kind of a camel colored, tannish color. And we're gonna start with that because I wanna do a real warm look this time. I have used some high-end shadows recently that nowhere near have this good a quality of just blendability, pigments. I'm just thrilled. I know Sydney Grace is a indie brand based out of California, and I really like that Tiny Marvels palette, and that was my first experience with them. I have used that palette so many times just for, like, you know, everyday quarantine makeup, or like, you know, the occasional time that you go out. Pretty shade. I really think this would make a nice work shade. I'm gonna go into the shade Supreme Harvest. I'm gonna use it as my outer and then also into my crease. We're just gonna kind of go up and over the whole thing.
I'm just sitting here. I got
Pretty color. I am gonna buff that out a little bit, so don't think I'm just gonna leave it the way it is. This is kind of the orange color that I think I was expecting in that pumpkin spice palette. Some of the other kind of like autumn inspired palettes, I think I've been kind of waiting for a color like this. It's more of a sienna color maybe. Okay, now that I've got the majority of that color down, I'm gonna take a clean brush and kind of buff it out a little bit.
It's clear to see.
Nice. Nice, nice, nice. I'm super happy about that. Okay, I really want to go into this color called Magnificent Chestnut. And I think I want to put that all over my movable lid with my finger. Oh, yeah. Oh, beautiful. This is such a creamy formula. Really, really loving it. What a great fall palette, you guys. Normally, I might discourage people from trying a $48 palette. However, between quality and color story, I think it's great. I don't have any wishes. There isn't anything about this that I wish was different so far. I'm really enjoying it. Okay, I'm gonna go in with a color again called Golden Spectre. That one right here. I'm gonna use that on the inner corner. We've got such a warm look already. So for a warm fall look, I don't know that I would add much more to that color. Maybe I'd put a little bit of the gold right in the center, but I like that Magnificent Chestnut so much that I kind of want to leave it alone just the way it is. I'm going to use this color called Sovereign Rain at the bottom, this really royal purple color. And we're going to take a little bit of that underneath here.
From up here.
These colors are very complementary. I take a cleaner brush into Queen of the North, which is this vanilla shade here. There's two colors that this palette had that I absolutely require, and that's this vanilla and then this darker, richer, dark chocolate brown. This one's called Golden Wheat. Pretty much a super dark shade and a light matte, and I'm very, very happy. So I saw an article that said that 40% of the people that came down with coronavirus ate out at a restaurant right before they came down. My son works at a restaurant. Actually, he works at two restaurants. My daughter works at One of her jobs is a coffee stand. Kind of scary. We like to eat out. I don't know. It's been one of those things, I guess. Okay, I'm going to put on some mascara and then I'll be back to show you guys the finished look in just a moment. All right, guys, look number 2 with the Sydney Grace Autumn Rain palette. This is so warm and cozy, and again, with my hooded mature eyelids, you're not going to see quite as much color. A lot of it is about the shape, and I maybe even had this a little lower than I need to be. But when you blink, you've got this warm bronze, rust-colored gold. I love it. I have a sweater that I picked up in Donegal, Ireland that's kind of like this rust color, and now I'm like, I want to go put it on because it's so pretty, but it's still hot outside, so I'm not going to put on any big sweaters. Okay, you guys, I have no complaints. I'm feeling completely inspired, but I want to do something quite a bit different. I feel like I've dipped into the majority of colors except for, I haven't touched any of these like 5 cooler tones on the outside. I feel like I need to get into them just to see if the formula is consistent across the whole spectrum. So I'm going to take this off and I'll be right back. I want to do something kind of cool toned, almost exotic looking. Can we do that? Okay, I'm going to use this color right here. It's sort of the mauve color called Countess. I've already used this color in my first look, but I want to use that as my transition color for this look. Something different. So far, I'm really enjoying the pairings of the colors in here. A taupe I would probably like as a transition shade to add to this palette. Aside from that, there isn't any like improvements that I think I would make. I like the shimmers that they do have. I'm really enjoying the mattes that they have are just working really well. And you guys know I'm pretty critical. I mean, like, if I'm not impressed, I'm going to say, it's fine. This palette's a joy to work with. For somebody who's not a makeup artist, who just wants to know, can I pick it up and get something to work for me? Are there any surprises? This is a palette that has no surprises for me. The colors in the pan are what appear on your eye. The colors are buildable. I mean, I went super light with this, so don't, have that as an indication, but it's a transition shade, so I didn't want it to be the focal. I'm feeling a little adventurous. I'm going to take this kind of matte teal color here called Majestic Breeze, and I'm going to start with that on the outer corner. You know how you do like your, I don't even know what they call it, where you find out what colors like work best on your skin tone and stuff? And this palette seems to have the majority of ones that have ever been called out for my particular skin tone. And I would consider myself a light, medium, neutral. The funny thing about, for whatever reason, my coloring, I don't know if it's a eye shape situation or what, but it's very interesting how I go places and I talk to people and they can't place the nationality. I mean, obviously they know that I'm American. I mean, I speak English, sometimes successfully even. There's so many times I go places and they can't tell if I'm Middle Eastern. Of course, now I look crazy, but can't tell if I'm Middle Eastern, if I'm Latina, like Spain Spanish or Mexican Spanish. It's just very interesting. So I didn't put any more on this brush, but I am dragging it here in the center a little bit. Anyway, I love this color, and I think it's hilarious when people can't place my nationality. They start talking to me in foreign languages and I'm like, I got nothing. I'm dragging that down below just to kind of connect the colors a little bit. I've got the basic shape that I want. I just wanted this as kind of like the dramatic background because I want to layer some other colors on top of it here. So you know how during this whole like quarantine thing, people have been watching, binge watching shows, Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus and all that. And we've done our fair share of binge watching shows. And some of them we watch for a number of seasons or episodes, and then we kind of move on to something else, and then we circle back around on them. And I do miss going to a movie theater, though. That would be nice on occasion. The craziest thing that I've gotten sucked into is probably monkey videos on YouTube.
The world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful.
I don't do a whole lot of cut creases, but I thought this would be kind of fun. So I just have a little bit of the Born This Way concealer, and I'm using that as the base. There's so many different theories on how to do a cut crease. For me, personally, because of my hood, I lay down the color and then I look up, and wherever the high point is where it transfers, that's where I start my cut crease. And I'm not worried about going over quite so far because, frankly, I'm going to cover up the outer portion with this one down here called Fallen Splendor. I love this color. This is, I feel like it might be my favorite color in the palette. I haven't even used it yet. Oh yeah, that's gorgeous. Wow. What a beautiful, like, emerald color. This is that look where I'm thoroughly stepping out of my comfort zone because I normally don't do these super dark, bold colors. It's just not my normal. I gotta be honest, it's kind of fun to do something completely unusual and out of the ordinary. Okay, I'm taking this silver in here is called Wondrous Night, and that's gonna be my inner corner. Let's see here. Oh.
We meant to be.
Wow, I haven't done a look like this in quite some time. I really am liking this. I'm gonna dirty up every brush. I'm gonna just try to soften up this line just a little bit. Just kind of blur the edges. And once I've done that, I'm gonna go back in with that mauve color called Countess. And we're just gonna put that right at the top edge, because I kind of want to peek through just a little bit. Not entirely sure where I would go with eyeshadow like this, but how fun. This definitely feels like a special occasion eye look. I'm going to take the last color that I haven't used yet, I don't believe, is this shade right here, and it's called Moonlit Kingdom. And I'm going to just go into that lower lash line right over the top of where I dragged that teal color to begin with. Okay, one of the things that I found that I really like about this palette, I haven't used a single eyeliner in any look on this palette so far. There is something about blues and greens on brown eyes that I just think is really pretty. Because I've gone so bold with this and so dark and so smoky, this is probably a look that if I were in fact wearing this to leave the house, I would put on a false eyelash, and I never wear false eyelashes, so that in itself is kind of a crazy thought here. But let's put some mascara on. This is the kind of eye look that my husband loves. He would love this to go out. Like, that would be like, oh, thank you, you know, we're doing something kind of fun. And frankly, they're kind of sea hockey colors, and I'm super proud of my boys this for their first home game. Sorry, it is a makeup channel, not a CX channel, but just so you know, I do love my Hawks. Here is my only thought as I talk to you guys about Sydney Grace Autumn Rain. Do not be intimidated by all this that I have going on right now. The whole point of doing this wasn't to, you know, go, oh yeah, I'm gonna go with crazy colors that we would never actually leave the house in. I think a look like this in the right setting, right circumstance would actually be really pretty. Is it an everyday look? Not for me personally. It's not something that I would, you know, even try to pull off every day, but I do like the look, and I do think it gives a little something more exotic. It is definitely a date night inspired kind of a look. Now, for the normal regular person who doesn't care for super dark, bold, smoky, colorful eye looks, for the majority of us on a daily basis, what do you do with these really rich jewel tones? You know, you've got a matte teal, you've got this kind of sapphire, you've got this emerald green, you've got a deep purple, you know, you've got some of these colors that might be intimidating. My thought is, do your regular neutral eye look. Like these two, this one, that one. You can still do your simple, neutral, familiar, comfortable look, and take one of these colors and do it as an eyeliner. Do it on the bottom lashes. Just throw a little personality in there if you really want to. Give a nod to the colors of fall without having to like fully commit to whatever this is. That's just my thought on it. I love this. This is going to be on my vanity to use on a regular basis. Also, I had talked about doing a video with just fall inspired looks, and I know that a palette like this, the Autumn Rain, where you could get multiple fall inspired looks from the same palette, kind of satisfies the same thing, but they may not be all of the fall palettes that I might reach for. So if you guys are interested in a video like that, just leave me a comment down below. Otherwise, I would love it if you guys subscribed before you left. I am a lady of a certain age who's not a makeup artist. I like makeup, so I might be just like you. ring the bell, you get notified. I tend to upload Monday, Wednesday, Friday, usually 3 p.m. Pacific time. Occasionally there's some extra ones in there every now and then. I'll throw in something on a different topic or something that's by request. So if you guys have any thoughts on things that you're interested in, leave me a comment down below. Feel free to follow me over on Instagram at Sheli Tsunami. I hope you guys are doing really well and maybe even thriving in some way. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day and they're newly married and I think they just had their 1st year anniversary, and they said, it's not what we expected, but it's better. And it's because they're making dinner together. They're eating at home more. They're saving money. They occasionally take food to go, but for the most part, they're coming together as a family. And that's the thing that I think is the takeaway for all of this crazy pandemic, is the opportunity to all be at the dinner table together. That's something that I've always tried for and has been a challenge over the years. You know, it seems like, okay, there's soccer, or there's band, or there's, you know, something going on. There's play practice, there's theater, and now there's jobs, and there's always something, right, that always takes people away from the dinner table. But that's something that I encourage you guys to really do, is to just find those ways to bring your family together. Maybe it's not game night, maybe it's not movie night, but maybe it's just a simple dinner at the table together where you put the phones away and you just focus on each other. And if you guys got nothing else out of 2020 but that, man, that's a win. A return to family. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing really well, and until my next video, bye for now.